This is a Rooster Teeth production.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Annual Pass. That's right, this is the podcast where we talk about theme parks and rides and shows and snacks and all kinds of fun stuff involving the world of theme parks. I am your host, Jack Patillo, and of course, joining me as always is my beautiful co-host, Mr. Jeff Ramsey. Hi, Jeffrey. How you doing?
Jack, I'm good, and I have a shocking revelation for you that I've been keeping from you. The entire time we were talking, leading up to the start of this podcast, but also since Saturday, I've been keeping a secret from you.
You've been holding a secret for what is this secret?
I've been holding an Annual Pass related secret. I appreciate that level of enthusiasm. I don't know that it's warranted. However, I will tell you that on Saturday night at approximately 9:30 p.m. Central Time, with the help of my daughter, Millie Ramsey, my much braver than I daughter, I rode the giant Ferris wheel at Navy Pier in Chicago, which I think counts as a ride.
Whoa.
So I was doing some theme park work.
Nice, dude. You're doing some off-time theme park work. That's awesome, man. How was it?
It was terrifying. I looked, I was reminded that I am now scared of heights, but mostly just when you're hanging, like if you're, say, on a Velocicoaster and you're going 182 miles an hour, you don't notice the heights.
So this is the Centennial Wheel is what you went on?
Yeah, but on the Centennial Wheel, when you're up there for, the average ride lasts about 78 minutes, I think. So by about minute 40, you're really sweating.
No.
And so I figured out that if I just looked at the floor at my feet and just stared at my shoelaces, I was fine. So that's what I did.
So this is like the London Eye or Orlando Eye or the High Roller in Vegas. So
exactly. And it's because it'll give you a little bit of history, Jack, because we like to give history on our theme parks, and I actually have some here for you. In 1893. The Chicago Expo, or the World's Fair, was in the beautiful city of Chicago, and they were trying to previously 10 years before that was at the Paris exhibition, and that's where they unveiled the Eiffel Tower. It was the Eiffel Tower was actually a World's Fair exhibition, and it was just a permanent people liked it so much they left it, and so they wanted to with American ingenuity and spirit, even though, we love the French and vice versa, they wanted to out-Eiffel is what they said. And so this guy Ferris created the Ferris wheel. And the original Ferris wheel, Jack, was so large, I want to say it was more than twice the size of the Centennial Ferris wheel in Chicago. It was so large that the cages that hold people, they held over 40 people.
Jesus.
In one of those cages. And so can you imagine 40 or 50 people swinging in one of those, more than twice the height of any, I want to say more than twice the height of any Ferris wheel in existence, but maybe even more than has been built since the original. It was deconstructed not too long after the World's Fair because they needed metal, and it had a lot of metal in it.
Yeah, the Centennial Wheel is almost 200 feet tall, so I can only close to 400 feet. That
seems high. But what was the original Ferris wheel? We'll have to look it up. That's all hyperbole on my part. But there's your little bit of Jeff's Annual Pass. I'm taking you through the ride. First of all right, Jack. So we get in, walk in, you sit down. It's dark. It's nighttime, but there's like a bluish and purplish neon glow. To you on the right is a teenager who talks too much, and his girlfriend he's trying to impress.
Is there music playing, Jeff? Is there music?
The only music I remember hearing was the loud beating of my heart in my ears.
I think I can hear it.
Then across from you is my daughter Millie, who seems to be fine. She's on her phone. And then across and to the right is another young couple on a date, definitely not high school age. The girl is going to have her eyes closed the entire ride because she's having a worse time than I am. And now we're lifting up. You can feel there's a gentle sway forward, and then we're gentle sway back, and then a gentle sway forward, and then a gentle. And if you look to the left, you'll see that we're much higher than you are, than a person should feel comfortable.
We are so high right now, Jack.
We're pushing, as we go up, almost 200 feet, Jack. We're up around 200 feet, and now we're just going to sit here for a while. I don't know why. We're just going to sit and swing. And I don't feel like I'm riding anything. I feel like God plucked me up into the heavens and is dangling me precariously above the very hard bone-breaking ground, and then for no reason we go forward a little bit, and now slowly we come down, slowly come down, slowly come down, and it's like, oh, maybe we're gonna get there. And they go, no, and they speed it up a little bit. They might be going like 6 or 7 miles an hour now, and then we're gonna do that again 2 or 3 more times, and then you'll get out.
Oh, okay. Well, wow, that sounds fun. That was fun, Jeff. Thank you for the walkthrough. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Jack. I had no intention of doing that. That was just inspiration in the moment. So I was not pre-prepared.
Of podcasting. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And speaking of magic, thank you again, everyone who's listening right now. Our community, the Annual Pass community, is absolutely fantastic. Please keep sending me photos of you wearing Annual Pass merchandise in theme parks. It keeps me alive. If you want to send us some photos, send it to annual_pass on Twitter, Instagram. It is absolutely awesome to see you guys sending that stuff in, and it makes me really happy. Don't forget, if you see someone wearing Annual Pass merch, I want you to ask for a high five or offer a high five if you're wearing one. And I want to see photos of random strangers high-fiving over Annual Pass, or maybe like the Demolition Man, like the don't touch high five thing, where you act like you high five and then make a little circle, and then Rob Schneider walks by. That because of COVID right now, Jeff.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
Are you busy? You're on eBay again right now. I see how it is. That's
soaring to a height of 264 feet. The original Ferris wheel offered fairgoers a 10 to 20 minute ride unlike anything they'd experienced before.
What? Why 10 to 20? That's a weird range.
Well,
does it go faster?
It depends on who was cranking the wheel at the bottom that day.
I guess so.
For many, the Ferris wheel took them as high up as they'd ever been, and the views did not disappoint, Jack. As passengers traveled through the air, they could see out over Lake Michigan and glimpse new vistas of the city itself. In all, more than 1.4 million people paid the 50-cent fee to take a ride on the wheel. Despite the popularity of the attraction, though, Jack, the Ferris wheel met with a string of financial issues after the fair.
Oh.
It was disassembled and moved to Clark Street, where it operated from 1895 till just 1903, and then was sold and rebuilt in St. Louis, Missouri, of all places, for the 1904 World's Fair. Little lame, been there, done that. In May of 1906, Demolition Company used 200 pounds of dynamite to blow it up, and its remnants were sold for much-needed scrap metal. I would assume a lot of that metal ended up in one of the wars. And that is from the Chicago Architecture Center, is where I took that from. There you go.
Wow. That's kind of cool. They blew up the Ferris wheel. Which, man. 200
pounds of dynamite. What else do you do at at that time, like turn of the century, like 1906, with 264 feet of metal that nobody wants to pay to use?
And that is wild.
You got to get, how else do you get rid of it?
Could you think of stepping in anything that had been built that's almost 300 feet tall that was made in the early 1900s?
No.
To be fair, I guess a lot of skyscrapers.
I mean, I guess the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, Eiffel Tower.
I guess I was just in the Willis Tower in Chicago, and that's pretty old.
Wait, what you talking about?
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Jeff, today's episode is not about Ferris wheels, believe it or not.
By the way, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hijack the podcast. Feel free to cut all this out. I just realized in the moment I had something to talk about.
No, that's fantastic. I was able to take a little break from the start of the podcast. That's fantastic. Yeah. I love hearing you getting into the spirit of Annual Pass. We started this kind of off of your newfound interest in theme parks due to you going to Disneyland. And now here you are. We've already been to Universal Orlando together. You've gone to Chicago. You've been to Vegas. Have you ridden any roller coasters in Vegas yet?
I did. I rode a roller coaster in Vegas called the Tram.
They have a monorail. You can ride the monorail.
Yeah, the monorail. That's what it was. The monorail train. Okay. I rode it from the Flamingo to another hotel to get away from the Flamingo.
Nice. You go up towards the Sahara or I think it's the Sahara again. It was the SLS. But anyway, well, hey, today is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about a Disneyland attraction, Jeff.
Okay.
Today's episode, we are going to talk about the Matterhorn bobsleds. Did you ride the Matterhorn bobsleds when you were out there in Disneyland back in early 2020?
Maybe. What's it like?
It's a giant mountain in the middle of the park.
Yeah. I did the mountain.
Hard to miss.
Yeah, I did. I think so. I think so.
There's Big Thunder Mountain, and then there's the Matterhorn.
I definitely. Ooh. How do I know which is which?
Well, Matterhorn is enormous, and if you still have a spine, you probably did not ride it, because boy howdy is that thing a bit shaky.
I tell you what I'm going to do, Jack. I'm going to I'm going to text my girlfriend while you're talking, and I'll find out.
Okay. All right, there you go. That works.
Did we ride the Matterhorn?
Yeah, Matterhorn or Big Thunder Mountain. There's many mountains at Disneyland. You know, you've got Space Mountain, you've got Big Thunder Mountain, you've got Splash Mountain, and you have the Matterhorn, which is the only real mountain based off an actual real mountain.
And it's the only mountain at Disneyland not ending in the word mountain.
True. Matterhorn Mountain just sounds funky. Anyway, I have a lot of cool facts and information about the Matterhorn bobsleds. First and foremost, if you are a big fan of theme parks like I, and you haven't for some reason watched the Imagineering Story on Disney Plus, go and watch the Imagineering Story, because I want to say the second episode, they actually talk about the development of the Matterhorn, which is pretty cool. And so you get to see one of the Imagineers actually go and like sign his name on the wall and stuff. It's really, really neat. So anyway, the Matterhorn bobsleds opened June 14th, 1959, just a few short years after the park opened in 1955. The big thing about this one, Jeff, it was the world's first roller coaster to use tubular steel track. So you're so used to seeing metal coasters with those steel tubes, you know?
Yeah.
This was the very, very first one on the planet that, according to, historians, that used that track. And that's kind of cool. Apparently it made the ride a lot more smooth. At least maybe back then it did. It is not smooth now. It was also the first ride that used an electronic dispatch system that actually allowed them to have more than one vehicle on the track at the same time. Because they could kind of see where they were as they went through. So if they had to stop it, they could stop one before it slammed into the back of the other one. So it's a way to get more people going through, more bodies on seats, as they say. And so there's a website called Undercover Tourist I pulled some info from. Originally on the site was just a big pile of dirt. So back when they first built this area, when they built Disneyland, they had to dig that moat around Sleeping Beauty Castle. And the dirt had to go somewhere, and it would have been more expensive to actually take it off site. So they just kind of put it into a big pile, and they nicknamed the whole thing Holiday Hill. So they just had this big hill of dirt that initially was off limits to guests. Eventually, they actually they put some grass on it and stuff, and they nicknamed it Holiday Hill, and people could go up there and whatnot. But apparently, according to a YouTube channel I watch, Theme Park History, Walt Disney was upset because apparently some kids were going up on Holiday Hill and sneaking away and making their own magical time, if you know what I mean. And so Walt's like, can't have that in my park. Can't have any little Mickey Mouse being born in my park. So there's we need to do something with this area. One of the first things they did was they had the Skyway use that hill as kind of an area to use. It was basically, the Skyway was this gondola system set up that would take you from Tomorrowland to, I think, Fantasyland, and you would get in and go over the whole park.
So he basically came up with the idea, if I can't stop the kids from going up on Holiday Hill to make whoopee, I can sell tickets to the gondola ride to Peeping Toms.
There you go. That's how it works.
There you go.
And so the gondola obviously has been gone for a while. They actually have a new gondola set up over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which goes in between Disney Hollywood Studios and Epcot as well, just to get people into the studios quicker. But originally, the Matterhorn had some gaps in it to actually let the Skyway pass through it. So you could get on the Skyway and actually go through the Matterhorn mountain on it. So it would, as you're going through the ride, you look down and then all of a sudden you go through the whole thing, which is really cool. And they actually built it into the attraction, which is really, really neat. It's been altered obviously since then, but it's been through quite a few different iterations of the ride. I mean, the thing is, almost 70 years old at this point now, more than 70. What's 1955? When would that have been? 45. That would have been 66 years now. The thing's been around. So it's gone through a few different renovations. Obviously, it wasn't an opening day attraction.
How many years did you say?
Let's say 66. Is that right?
Okay.
1955. So to get to 2000 be 45, then 45
66.
Plus 20,
yeah, you're
21
right.
is okay. Challenging me on my math?
No, I just didn't see I couldn't see the work. Just wanted to make sure you were arriving to the answer properly. Okay.
I appreciate you that you're keeping me on my toes.
So hold on. So the gondola went through the Matterhorn for a while and then they pulled it out. Do you know why?
Because I think they just got rid of the whole Skyway system. They actually took the whole thing down. Let me see. I have notes here.
I didn't know if it was one of those things that we talked about last time where it's like if one ride shuts down, it shuts the other one down too, or...
No, I mean, obviously, like the Matterhorn, it was working in conjunction with the Skyway. So when they got rid of the Skyway, they actually filled in the gaps. I'm 1994 is when they took down the Skyway.
1994. Okay.
Yeah, so it lived for quite a while, but they finally took down the Skyway. I want to say I may have ridden on the Skyway as a child because it sounds familiar to me, feels familiar to me. But yeah, 1994, they got rid of it.
I'm glad we double checked on that because I just had this flash of me being at a party someday. This is in a post-COVID world around like the table with all the food, like getting a chip, and then somebody was like, "Hey, you're that guy from the theme park podcast," and I'm like, "Yeah." And we strike up a conversation. Then he mentions the Skyway, and I go, "You know, they got rid of that in '77," and he's like, "Excuse me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, in 1977 they got rid of it," and he's like, I'm horrified to hear you. Are you pranking me? I thought you were the theme park guy. Everybody who's anybody worth their salt in the theme park world knows 1994. That's are you? And then he's like, he can't decide if I'm making fun of him and poking at him because I don't think he's a real theme park person, or like I'm a fraud, you know? And like, so and either way, it ruins the entire night. And then I gotta leave.
There you go. Sounds about right. Anyway, so there was a Skyway through it to get back onto that, and it was 1994 when they took it down, as you obviously know. There are 2 separate tracks as well, Jeff. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, so there is a Tomorrowland side and a Fantasyland side.
Are you serious?
Left or right? Yeah. So there's two different tracks that go side by side. They both kind of launch similar, but then they're very I think the Fantasyland one's actually a little bit longer. I will say they're equally painful. I don't think either one is softer than the other at this point.
And you've done both.
I've done both.
Do you have a preference? Do they feel like different rides in your head, or
not really? I mean, there's just a little bit of track difference. I mean, as far as like maybe a left turn instead of a right turn here, but there's actually animatronics on the attraction, and you see the first animatronic you see is a real big one, and both tracks pass that one. But then later throughout the ride, they built the same animatronic, so you see it no matter which one you're on. But those you see independently. So the Fantasyland one sees the Fantasyland animatronic, and the Tomorrowland one sees the Tomorrowland one.
Gotcha.
Kind of cool. More than 800 gallons of paint were used to create heavier snowfall on the north-facing side of the mountain, just like the real Matterhorn. So when they updated it recently, I think in 2012, so very recently, they did a massive renovation of it. They repainted it to match the actual Matterhorn because the north-facing side has more snow because it's not facing the sun as often. And so they actually replicated that, and they used glass beads to actually make the snow glitter. So they blew in glass beads along with the paint to make the snow glitter when the sun hits it, which is actually really, really cool.
That's really cool and clever. I like that you had to include the wife for me just in case I couldn't get there.
I got you.
I appreciate that.
Aero Development made the attraction. They're also responsible for a ton of classic Disney attractions, like the Mad Tea Party, which is the spinning teacups, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, and lots more. So a lot of really, really classic attractions were made by Aero Development as well. In 1977, there was a big refurbishment. The attraction had been around for almost 20 years at that point, and so they're like, all right, we got to clean it up a little bit. They went from having a single ride car to having 2 ride cars so they could push through more people. They added some new tunnels to the whole thing, and also they added the Abominable Snowman. So that was the big thing. It wasn't initially there, and so they added that one. They closed up some of the holes to give it sort of more of a claustrophobic feel, and they added in this animatronic snowman, which is actually repurposed from some of the giant gorilla animatronics from the Jungle Cruise. So they just repainted them and threw them in there, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and they used the Abominable Snowman as the big PR thing. It's what's gotten into the mountain, and it's this snowman, and so that's what got people back into it. And Jeff, the snowman, the Yeti has a nickname. Well, or he actually technically named. He has a name. What do you think the Yeti's name is?
Horny.
Close. Starts with an H.
Harold.
It's Harold. You got it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The Yeti's name is Harold.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, Harold the Yeti. I don't know, but that was his nickname, and it just stuck. And so he's always been Harold. And so he doesn't look like they've redone the animatronics. So in May 27th of 1978, they reopened again. So after the 1977 refurbishment, they opened in 1978. it pretty much lived like that until 1994, where in 1994 they added a new ride scene, which had like these shiny crystals kind of like right after the launch hill. And there was also a box that said the Wells Expedition, because it was made to look like someone had been traveling through there. So the Wells Expedition was added because Frank Wells was the COO of Disney. He was actually the president of Disney, and he passed away around that time. He was if you watch the Imagineering story, they talk about it a lot. But so they actually added this as a sort of homage to Frank Wells, and he loved mountain climbing and skiing and stuff. So it's kind of like his little mark on the park. So that's pretty sweet. Pretty much stayed the same up until about January of 2012, where they had another refurbishment. They went from having 2 people side by side in the attraction, which you had to be crammed in there pretty tight if you're a pretty big person, to now it's just 6 people in a row. So it's like basically a row, like you have one person's directly in front of you, but you have the whole car to yourself. So now they went from
like a human centipede.
Yeah, exactly. Or, like Splash Mountain kind of, which is kind of the same thing as the human centipede. But anyway,
right.
They repainted the entire mountain as well during that time, which was the first time since opening they had painted the entire mountain from top to bottom. And that's when they blew in all the glass and they repainted the snow on that one side of it and stuff. And then it reopened, and after 6 months, it finally reopened June 15th of 2012. And then, not only that, January 25th, 2015 is 3 years later, they added these like screens to the launch hill where you can actually see the Yeti kind of like moving around and stuff. The crystals got removed, but now it has a bunch of like Disney history. So inside there, they actually have the old bobsled is like covered over by sand or by snow, excuse me. They have one of the gondolas from the Skyway is in there, also kind of like destroyed. Like basically Yeti's been collecting all these bits. The Wells Expedition box is still there as well. So it's kind of cool. Like they just slowly been adding more and more stuff to it. And also they replaced the Yeti animatronic. Harold got an update, and Harold looks pretty vicious now. He looks much more angry. Rawr is what Harold sounds like. So
Okay.
yeah, but it's pretty wild. Like, so the bobsled has been around for a long time. And Jeff,
Yes, sir.
are you ready to join me somewhere in between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland to ride the Matterhorn bobsled?
You know it, buddy.
All right. Well, here we go, Jeff. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and okay, we're gonna first thing you can see it. Wow, right behind the Sleeping Beauty Castle off to the right, Jeff. You can see that giant mountain. It's 147 feet tall, Jeffrey. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's almost as tall as a Ferris wheel.
It's covered with snow, mostly on the northern face because the sun doesn't hit there as often. And maybe if we're lucky, we might see climbers going up and down it because they actually climb the mountain, Jeff.
It glints as if it were covered in glass beads, Jack.
And maybe we'll catch sight of the climbers if they're here today, but if not, that's okay. They're probably inside hanging out. But okay, let's walk around and we'll go get in line for the Matterhorn. We can hear all the music and it sounds really. You can hear the wind blowing like because it's all like really cold over here because the Matterhorn. What's up, Jeff?
What is that music I'm hearing? What does it sound like, Jack? I can't quite make it out.
It sounds like Swiss music, Jeff.
Right. That's how I would describe it. Yes.
Like that famous Swiss musician. What was their name?
ABBA.
ABBA. Yeah, ABBA. It's just nothing but ABBA's playing.
Perfect.
All right, so are they Swiss? Anyway, okay,
So they're Swedish.
they're Swedish, yeah, okay. So anyway, let's get on. So which side do you want to go on, Jeff? Well, we got two choices here. They're both going to hurt our back.
Jack, we're both left-handed, so we got to go left.
We're going left, Jeff. All right, so I think that is the Tomorrowland side of things. So we'll get in line, get in our queue. Okay, all right, Jeff, we've made it through the power of editing. Ooh, we're at the front of the line. Here we are. We see our car pull up in front of us. So we have 6 seats, Jeff. Which 2 do we want to take? Like the 2 front ones, 2 back ones?
What's the most painful, the back?
Probably the back.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we don't need spines. All right, let's go ahead and get in these cars. And you can sit in the very back, and I'll sit like kind of in your lapish area, I guess, in between your feet. All right, here we go. So we're going up the hill. Remember, this thing's been around for 60 years, so the track's a little bit old, but that's okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, we make a little left, and now we're going up the launch hill, Jeff. We're going up. It's the clicky thing. Click, 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 click. We love that. Oh, you can hear that we're going to the tunnel. It's really, really dark, and we're going to see just a few lights.
And we can probably hear the wind blowing and stuff, right?
You can hear the...
Almost, they'll probably hear the ADR of whoever edits this. Yeah, okay.
Dennis. Yeah,
Dennis is doing this one.
Yeah, and you can hear the Yeti. You hear the Yeti, Jeff? He's going raw. You can hear him up in front of us. Whoa! Look behind the ice on your left. You can see him, Jeff. You see the Yeti? He's there. He's behind. He's looking at us. He looks very upset, and his eyes are glowing.
Well, he seems to be frozen in ice. I think we're fine.
Well, no, he's moving. You can see behind the ice, Jeff. We're on another side. We're on an ice wall. Okay. All right, we've pressed.
I'm not sure what to do with that information, Jack. Is he coming at us or not? Do I need to prepare? Do I need to scavenge for something to hit him with? Look around you. Look at the bottom of the cart. Do you see a hammer or a knife?
I have nothing with me. I've not just
break
my
off an
Mickey Mouse
icicle.
ears.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we've crested the hill, Jeff. Now we're flat, and we're starting to pick up some speed. Oh, look! And if you look to the left, Jeff, you can see it. You can see the old bobsled and the pile of stuff. There's the Skyway.
Is the Yeti in the bobsled? Is he coming after us?
He's not, but he's clearly ruined this thing. Okay, we're moving left. Oh, and it opens up, and we can see all of Disneyland outside. We're making this big left bank, and Jeff, there he is. He's right there. He's right there.
God.
Oh wow! He's
hit him with your shoe.
He was growling. Okay, we're past him now. We're past him. Okay, we're banking right. We're picking up some speed. Oh God, we're whipping back and forth. These ice caves. It's pretty cool, right?
Jack, he's hideous. I just saw the picture come through from Dennis. It's worse than I imagined.
Well, it's Ben, but that's okay.
I mean, from Ben. Sorry, I said Dennis. Here, hold on. Ben changed it. He fixed it with that.
Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, Ben. Okay, so anyway, now we're going through. Now we can see we're right on the edge. We're on the edge. We can see to our right. It's all of Disneyland. We can even make out Space Mountain. Oh, it's Tomorrowland. Oh, now we're back in. There's more caves, and we're whipping back and forth, left and right. And at this point, our spine is still mostly intact. But now we're picking up speed,
good.
Jeff. We're picking up speed. We're getting rattled around, thrown left and right, left and right.
Are we free of the Yeti, Jack, or is he going to make another appearance?
Right now, we don't know where he is. We can hear him growling in the caves as we're moving around. And we can see we're passing over a bridge, and we've got all kinds of rock walls around us. It's really neat. Oh, it opens up again. Now we can see trees. Now we're still moving. Whoa, we're going underneath another cave, completely tunneled. Oh, and it's shiny blue. Oh, there he is again, Jeff. He's on our left.
Jesus God. Again.
He took a swing at us. I almost got you, Jeff. Are you okay?
I think so. Appear to all be here.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to make a couple right turns, and it's starting to slow down a little bit, but we can see the other tracks right next to us, and we're going around. Oh, wow, okay, we're more outside. There's a waterfall. Did you see the water? Did you get hit with water?
I did a little bit. It's cold.
Okay, and then the bridge is going to go over us. Now we're going to, we're on a creepy stone bridge. Whoa, we passed over that. It's a good thing it stayed up, though. That would have been bad if we would have fallen.
That would have been the end of us.
Oh, okay. Now we're starting to space out a little bit. It's a little bit cool, a little bit calm now. And whoa, okay, just a couple more dips. Another waterfall. And Jeff, we're watching. It's water. We're gonna splash into the water. Sploosh, and then we go up and sploosh again. We splashed in water.
Just so I'm clear, we really splashed in real water and we got real wet?
Yeah, absolutely. It actually splashed us, and we're gonna bank right, then left, and we're slowing down, and we're back at the load station. We did it, Jeff. We survived the Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland.
That was intense, and my Google page just loaded. It took me forever. I got some helpful tips on surviving a Yeti encounter, which I guess we can save for next time.
Okay, well, give me tip number one.
Well, number one is make yourself look bigger than you are.
Okay.
Number two is be aggressive. Yetis only respect aggression. Number three is if conflict seems inevitable, gouge the eyes.
Okay, all right. It's between each other, like I gouge your eyes, or the Yeti?
Yeah, then you can't see it coming.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, we did it, Jeff. We survived the Matterhorn bobsled. That
was intense.
Very intense.
And now we're sopping wet.
We are. We're maybe not sopping, but we're definitely wet. Fun fact. So there is a splashdown, and your vehicle actually does go into water at the end. Because of that, the actual undersides of all the cars have to be waxed so they don't get it's not corrosive over time. So it actually gets wax on them so the water doesn't stick as much. And the reason they go through water is because the brakes on the actual vehicles get hot during the ride. So the splashdown actually helps cool the brakes down, which is really clever, actually.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was reading, it's actually, Disney has a program where they hire retired surfers and disabled surfers who can't surf anymore to wax down.
That's absolutely true. It's the Walt Disney World Surfer Program, or Disneyland Surfer Program. It's a real prestigious thing, actually. The Matterhorn itself is 100th scale of the real Matterhorn. So it is 147 feet tall. And Jeff, guess how tall the actual mountain is?
How tall is the Matterhorn again?
147 feet.
Well, I guess it would be 100 times that.
You would be correct. It's 14,700 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it's actually in proportion to it.
Dude, that's not fun to breathe at that at that height.
No, I can imagine. Probably not good at all. What, 3 miles up in the air?
Yeah.
It's the highest point in Disneyland, in the actual Disneyland park, and now it's only second in all of Disneyland, or I guess the California park. I don't know, what do they call it? It's like Walt Disney World. So what do you call both parks in California? It's not Disneyland because that's the name of the park.
If only one of us was some kind of expert.
I should know this. The Tower of Terror, which is now Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout at Disney's California Adventure, is actually the tallest thing in both the parks now. So it was eclipsed by the Tower of Terror when that thing got built. But for the longest time, the Matterhorn was the tallest structure in all of the California Anaheim Disney area. That's what I'll call it. The ADA.
Yes, the ADA.
The attraction itself was actually inspired by a movie called Third Man on the Mountain, which was a film shot in Switzerland on the real Matterhorn. It was released in 1959, and it was a Disney movie, and Walt was going over to Switzerland to actually like see the production of it and stuff. And that movie is based on a book called Banner in the Sky, which actually released in 1955, which is the same year that Disneyland opened. So there you go. Apparently, Walt grabbed a postcard of the mountain from a souvenir stand and sent it to his Imagineer friend or Imagineer employee, Vic Green, with a message on it that it said, "Vic, build this, Walt," which is super, super cool. So Vic Green was one of the guys responsible for the whole Matterhorn. So there's climbers on the mountain as well that climb the mountain up and down throughout the day. But in case of like inclement weather or like raining or it's not safe, they actually just hang out. There's a break room in the attic of the attraction, and there is a basketball goal actually set up inside the Matterhorn. So you can go shoot hoops inside the Matterhorn.
Really?
Yeah. And actually in the Imagineering story, they show it. They actually show the physical hoop and everything. And one of the Imagineers who worked on it, I don't know if it's Vic Green, but one of the Imagineers who worked on it, there's a tradition in a lot of Disney attractions where when you work on an attraction, you actually sign your name somewhere on the inside. I know when I worked at the Great Movie Ride in Florida, I did a handprint. When I worked at the Backlot Tour, they had a wall full of signatures. And so at the Matterhorn, the attic is just full of signatures of people who've worked on the attraction over the years. And so they actually asked the Imagineer if he had signed it, and he hadn't. So they had him sign it there, which was actually really, really sweet. It's like this old man signing his name on this Matterhorn attraction, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, and so officially, the Matterhorn bobsleds were part of Tomorrowland, but it actually sits right kind of on the line between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. And so in 1971, it moved to Fantasyland. So they they rerouted it. They gerrymandered it out of there. And so it's now part of Fantasyland. Is what it is. So that's kind of cool. When they replaced the Yeti as well, when they replaced Harold back in the 90s, they took one of the old animatronics and actually moved it to Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. So in Mission Breakout, they have a ton of cool like props and stuff. Like it's Tavon Tanalier from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's a collector. And so they have one of the Yetis actually up in his collection. It's one of the ones from the ride. And actually Kevin from Mega 64 let me know about that. So that's kind of cool.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Mad props. As a matter of fact, our friends over at Mega 64, Rocco and Kevin, they have a podcast where they talk about a lot of Disney stuff called Creepy Old Crypt. And if you're a fan of any theme park stuff, I 100% recommend you checking those guys out. It's really, really cool. So mad props to those guys. Love them very, very much. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have. There's a ton of facts about this thing. Again, this attraction has been around for 60 years, so I'm sure there's amazing, amazing information and secrets and stuff that I don't know. If you have anything you want to tell me about the Matterhorn, feel free to email us, annualpass@roosterteeth.com. And yeah, I'd love to read stories about it, or if you work there, I would love to talk.
I want to know where the hidden Mickeys are on it.
That's true. I wonder if there are any hidden Mickeys on it.
And I want to know if I've been on it. I keep waiting for my girlfriend to respond.
He's still not sure. I'm willing to bet you probably did not ride on it. You probably rode on Big Thunder Mountain is what I would guess.
It's possible I rode on both. I just don't know.
Yeah. So speaking of stories and speaking of emails, actually I have an email here from Cameron Onings, who says, "I'm a huge fan of the podcast and would like to share a story from one of my early experiences at Disneyland and learning about the Matterhorn. When I was a child, my parents would take me to Disneyland almost every summer to have a family vacation. One time when I was around 5 or 6, we were enjoying a nice break in one of the restaurants in Adventureland near Tom Sawyer's Island. There I was at the table with my child leash around my wrist so I wouldn't run off with my parents. I do not know what came over me, but I got out of my seat and walked over to this other table where cast members were sitting. I just reached out and pinched one of the women on the butt. My mom was mortified at this, but the cast members thought I was the cutest thing ever. ever. They then proceeded to buy me a Roy Rogers, which I loved at the time, and told us stories about the park. One of the stories that stuck with me the most was about the abominable snowman that was inside the Matterhorn. They told me about how his name was Harold, and from that day, every time I go on the Matterhorn, I always shout out to Harold and say hi. I was able to share the story with my son on his first journey to Disneyland right before the pandemic hit. Thank you for making this podcast, and I look forward to many more adventures with the podcast. Thank you, Cameron. That is really cool. That's cool. Like I love seeing the traditions of theme parks passed down. Maybe not the butt pinching. That's not cool, Cameron. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, it was a different time.
Well, he's also five or six. So
it also reminds me that I used to suck down a few Roy Rogers in my day when I was a kid too.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a drink that's not popular anymore. But when I was a kid, man, Roy Rogers was. Yeah.
Why don't we still get one in Disneyland?
I'm sure you can get one anywhere. I'm sure. It's just Coke and grenadine and a cherry.
Okay, I'll have to try one of those. I have to give a special shout out to the Theme Park History YouTube channel. They did an amazing history video on the Matterhorn. Highly recommend you check them out. I've given them shout outs in the past before on some other attractions, but there's a video on Matterhorn and was great. Also, Wikipedia, obviously, is my friend. And the official Disney Parks blog, too. So, yeah, but that's going to do it for the Matterhorn. Jeff, do you have any fun facts to add to the Matterhorn story?
No, I was just going to follow up by saying that's going to do it for the Centennial Ferris wheel in Chicago. If you have Jack, if you have any questions or followed, let me know.
All right, maybe we'll write it together. Maybe we'll go on the high roller when we go to Vegas sometime, or we'll go on the Orlando Eye or something.
I think we definitely will.
I did ride the London Eye, and that was pretty tall, pretty significant.
Let's see how tall. I know you're trying to end, but that's okay. The London Eye? Oh my God!
You all right, Jeff?
I had it wrong. Please understand that I read a book about the Ferris wheel 16 years ago, so I was going off my memory. The London Eye is 443 feet high.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. It's super tall. It's very intimidating. It's also big. The carts or the carriages are really large.
It takes 30 minutes.
He's gonna get some really cool views of London, of Big Ben Parliament.
Yeah, well, I would hope so.
Next time we go to London, Jeff, we'll go ride the London Eye.
Okie dokie.
And we'll go to Alton Towers because everyone tells me to go to Alton Towers. So we'll make it a point to go to Alton Towers. If you work at Alton Towers, let me know. Alton Towers. Yes, I want to go to Alton Towers.
Yes,
please.
We'll go to Alton Towers and.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
John Cleese will be there, I guess, or something, right?
Yeah. It's Eric Idle just waiting for us out front. He's actually at Epcot. All right. Well, hey, this is the point of the show when we answer some questions. So I got a few questions here for us. Let's see here. All right, so here's a question for us. So this one's from C. Murdoch 23. Would you guys ever, and these are all from Rooster Teeth, by the way. If you have a question, feel free to leave a comment and say question, ask us a question on Rooster Teeth. That's where I pull all the questions from. C. Murdoch 23 says, would you guys ever be interested in visiting old/abandoned amusement parks to learn their history?
Yes.
I actually grew up near a theme park in West Virginia called Camden Park, which was actually featured in Fallout 76.
Yes.
I believe it is still operational to this day, but is very old, and I believe it is one of the oldest wooden roller coasters called the Big Dipper that was built in 1958. Really look forward to each episode that comes out. Love the podcast. Thank you, C. Murdoch. So he says, would you ever visit an old theme park? Okay, old, I guess, not abandoned. So the Camden Park isn't abandoned, it's just old. Yes, obviously, yes. Have you heard about the Six Flags in New Orleans, Jeff?
The one, yeah, it got Katrina, right?
Yeah, when Katrina hit, they shut down the park and just never reopened it. And they filmed a number of movies. I want to say, was it Zombieland?
Zombieland, I believe, was filmed there, yeah.
Yeah, they filmed, but it's basically it's a really old, like overgrown theme park, and there's a lot of urban explorers have kind of jumped the fence. I think at this point it might be mostly dismantled. I think they finally kind of got rid of it all, but for a long time it was there. There is there's an island. I want to say Discovery Island at Magic Kingdom, actually. That it was a whole island. There was kind of like a zoo type thing before Animal Kingdom existed. It was an island where they had like animals and stuff, and you would have to take a barge to get there. And they just kind of shut it down, got rid of them, and moved all the animals, and just left everything there. So people have found this island and gone through it and actually taken some really creepy photos and stuff. And there was a rumor for a while, actually, that island was going to be turned into Myst. So the video game Myst, they were going to make, Disney was going to get the rights to it and actually make a Myst island.
You know, I read a little bit about that island. It's actually quite fascinating. It's I'm amazed that they still haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, at this point, I can't believe they haven't cleaned it up yet. But I mean, as technology gets better, I imagine they're pretty secure. Anytime someone steps foot on that thing, they know immediately that someone's there. So we won't be going to that one. I've got my annual pass. I don't want to lose that. So here is a follow-up from a user on the site. It's SKI, but it's ESSKAYAYE. Just a little correction on some information. So I pulled these comments from the Great White episode of Annual Pass, which is a couple weeks ago. All the Batman clones with the official Batman the Ride branding currently in operation have the full 8 rows like the Great White. So I think I said they had 7 and the Great White had 8, but they added on the 8th. The only exception with that one is the one in New Orleans that relocated to Fiesta, Texas and renamed Goliath, which had 7, but appropriately enough, it started its life with the name Gambit anyway. So it wasn't actually Batman, it was Gambit and then whatever. So all the ones that have always been Batman the Ride have always had 8 rows. Some of the older clones not specifically named Batman the Ride have 8 and some have 7, and the one in Kuwait named Lightning only has 6 rows. It can all be a bit confusing when you're referring to what is essentially the same coaster having all these tiny variations. Thank you very much, SKI, keeping me on my toes, answering and correcting information. I like being correct, so that's very cool. And there's a lot of people out there who love roller coasters, Jeff.
And love to correct you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. I enjoy being corrected. Balling0218 or Bowling0218 has Jack or Jeff ever been to Astro World? Would love an episode or a few regarding closed down parks and their history. Love the show, y'all. Yes, I went to Astro World. Absolutely, I did. Did you ever go to Astro World?
I don't specifically remember, but yeah, I know I did when I was in the Army. I can't remember. I would have been 18 or 19. I just can't remember.
So for those of you who don't know, Astro World was actually located directly across from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. I don't know if it was initially just Astro World and Six Flags bought it, but I remember it as Six Flags Astro World.
That's how I remember it as well, yeah.
So I don't know the history of it off the top of my head. They had a ride there called the Ultra Twister, which was a very, very simple ride. I might do an episode on it sometime, but it was a ride where it like flipped you upside down, and it was one that you went forward, then turned around, went back. And I remember that one because my uncle went on it with me and then immediately threw up afterwards. So, they also had a terrifying coaster, not a coaster, but I think a flatland attraction. It was like, those pirate ships that go up and down, like back and forth?
Yeah.
They had one of those, except it was a spaceship because, Houston's where the, NASA is. And it would go so fast that it would actually do a complete flip. So you would literally flip upside down and go the rest of the way around. But it would get just enough momentum to push you over that you would seemingly hang upside down for like 30 seconds before you crested that hill. And so absolutely insanity. I never rode that, I'll be honest, because I was pretty young when I was there, but that one was terrifying to me.
That sounds murderous.
Yeah. So pretty wild. And so, hey, thank you for the questions, everyone. Again, if you have any questions like that, please ask them in chat or in the comments, because I pull questions from comments on Rooster Teeth. So leave a comment there, and we'll answer some questions for you. We're about to rebuild up our buffer, so we're going to record a few episodes. There might be a couple episodes where I pull like a lot of questions from the same episode to kind of get us ahead of things. So anyway, heads up on that. One thing I do is every week I ask you a question, audience. That's right, community. I'm asking you a question. And the last question I asked that I'm answering now, or that you guys answered, was, what is your favorite show that you've seen at a theme park? Lots and lots and lots of great responses on this one, Jeff. This one from Fooznatch, great name. My favorite show is the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. I remember seeing that show the first time I went to Disney and just thinking of how cool it all was, from seeing Indy fall from the roof to the plane, the exploding truck, and it just making my brain wonder how it was all done and thinking I would love to be a part of that. Well, fast forward and some years later, and one of my best friends / college roommate went to work for Disney and actually became one of the full-time Indiana Jones and worked for the show. I now have 2 children, and we went to Disney 2 years ago. And my kids got to sit and watch the show with their uncle as Indiana Jones. We even got a tour of the stage. You got to see all the props and how it works. An amazing show with amazing people who work for it. That's cool.
Oh, that's
cool. Really, really neat. The Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular is amazing. It's a really cool show. It's one of the, I don't know if it opened Disney MGM Studios, but it was definitely one of the earlier attractions, and it's still around, and it's still a really, really cool stunt show. The TNT Raider says, response to the question, my favorite show is a three-way tie between Waterworld at Universal Studios Hollywood, which is James Willems, a good friend of ours. That's his favorite show of all time. Fantasmic at Disneyland, which is another good show. And World of Color at Disney California Adventure. Those three have always captivated me in different ways, like with the explosive finale in Waterworld, the 40-foot tall fire-breathing dragon in Fantasmic, and the perfect blend of water, fire, and Disney storytelling in World of Color. I also have a question for both of you. Are there any rides you felt were too intense? That's cool, first of all. Those are all amazing shows. I have not seen the World of Color show at Disney California Adventure, though, but Waterworld is fantastic. Have you been to Universal Hollywood, Jeff?
Yes, but not. I don't believe there was a Waterworld show. Many years ago with Gus, I went.
I'd say, how young were you? Waterworld's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember it. The big thing there was Van Helsing when we were there. I remember that being a big deal.
Okay. Well, I mean, Waterworld's been there longer than Van Helsing.
I would imagine. I just didn't. I don't remember interacting with it. Sorry.
You just pretty much close your eyes and just hold your girlfriend's hand anytime you go to a theme park at this point. Right?
Yeah, my girlfriend was Gus at the time. So. Speaking of girlfriends, I did get a hot response, Jack.
Hot response.
Just came in. I asked my girlfriend Emily. I said, "Did we ride the Matterhorn?" ? And she responded, "Yeah." That was the one. That was the one at night we did with the Yeti. So there you go.
How did you forget that?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, Jack. That day, I think when I was going around enjoying, on the one hand, COVID was just starting, so I was just starting to become paranoid about that. And on the other hand, I didn't yet know that I was going to need to remember all this stuff for a podcast a year later.
How do you forget a roller coaster with a Yeti? And a giant mountain and a giant 147 tall mountain, mountain.
Because as you pointed out so deftly earlier, there's a lot of mountains in Disneyland.
All right. Well, do you have you been on any rides that you felt were too intense, Jeff?
Yes. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. 100%. Tear that thing down. Good. It's too much.
No, don't tear it down. It's a great ride. Just close your eyes.
It's not safe for the people.
Just close your eyes. Too intense? I don't think so. I guess the only one is that one I've told the story about almost passing out on. That was at the Austin Fair. But I don't know if carnival rides count that. But yeah, maybe a carnival ride. So Martin EZD181 says the nighttime show, here we go, the nighttime light show at Hogwarts and Islands of Adventure is the absolute best show, especially the dark arts version they do around Halloween. Seeing the castle light up with projection mapping of spiders, the mentors, and Jeff's favorite snakes is just stunning. And to top it all off, is narrated by Dumbledore himself. I get chills every time if you time it right. The best spot to see the show is during the clicky climb of the Flight of the Hippogriff. There you go. So yeah, they actually cover up the whole castle with lights and stuff. It's really, really neat. So we should check that out. Hopefully sometime we get back there. Quentin LF says, my favorite show was definitely the Lights, Motors, Action, Extreme Stunt Show in Disney World. Between the car stunts, people being lit on fire, and the jet ski stunts, it was such a fun show. So lots and lots and lots of people said the Lights, Motors, Action Stunt Show at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This was a car show. It's actually really, really neat. It still exists in Paris. So it opened initially in Paris and they brought it to the States and then closed it in the States. But I want to say it's still open in Paris. It's an amazing stunt show, Jeff. They have a full fire burn. So they light a guy on fire and he runs around. There's cars, there's motorcycles, explosions, gunfire. It's a really, really cool show. I like that one a whole lot.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And our winner that I randomly selected that is going to get an autographed theme park map signed by Jeffrey and I is from Twilight Princess, but it's all like leet speak, so it's TWI1I. Anyway, Twilight Princess. My favorite show I've seen is the Sea Lion and Otter Spotlight at SeaWorld Orlando. They train the otters and sea lions to interact with things. They're basically acting out a little play. It's super cute and funny, and I love animals, so it's basically perfect to me. Aw. And it's funny, there was actually there were a couple people who responded with the Clyde and Seymour show at SeaWorld, which Clyde and Seymour have been around SeaWorld forever. I'm sure they just name whichever one Clyde and Seymour, but
sure.
Yeah. So like there's multiple Shamus. But anyway, that's cool. Congratulations, Twilight Princess. We will reach out to you through Rooster Teeth and get a hold of your information and send you a theme park map autographed by Jeffrey and I. All right, so that's enough of the last one. Now we've got a new question for you for this week. Answer in the comments below, what is your favorite animatronic? It can be a one-off. It can be like all of the birds and the tiki room. It could be Harold the Yeti, whatever you want.
Betty White.
Is there a Betty White?
That's not common knowledge, is it? No. She's I never mind. I retract. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that in public. That hasn't been confirmed yet.
Let us know in the comments what your favorite animatronic of all time is. Any park, anywhere, whatever, one-offs, I don't care. I want to know about your animatronics. I'm excited for it. I always loved the Wicked Witch of the West at Great Movie Ride. That one was awesome. She was super cool. Now she's Red at Pirates of the Caribbean, so that's kind of cool. Little twofer for you. Can you think of any animatronics, Jeff, that you're a big fan of off the top of your head?
Oh, I like the birds.
You like the tiki birds?
Yeah, that's that was probably, I think we talked about this, but that was one of my favorite moments for sure at Disney.
Yeah. So that's going to do it. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in this week. I really appreciate it. Again, please spread the word about our podcast. Let your friends know about this podcast. We have a lot of fun making it, and we want to keep growing. We want to get to the point where everyone knows about us, and we get out there. We sell more shirts. We get ponchos, hopefully, at some point. And don't forget, you can grab your shirts and jacket right now, store.roosterteeth.com as well. That supports us in the show. Follow us on all the social medias, annual_pass on Twitter and Instagram as well. And if you have anything, if you worked at Matterhorn or worked anywhere cool, email me, annualpass@roosterteeth.com. We'll take a look at it. I've got some cool interviews coming up soon. We're going to be talking to an Imagineer pretty soon, a gentleman who's been doing Imagineering stuff for like over 30 years. I've got someone who worked at the Jungle Cruise on Hook right now. We've got someone who works at Schlitterbahn on Hook right now. We have a lot of cool stuff. We have a former Dracula from Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review, Jeff, that we're going to hopefully talk to pretty soon.
That sounds awesome.
And he's gone on to become a pretty big name, as a matter of fact, which is pretty fantastic. But that's for another time, maybe closer to Halloweenish.
And also, if you're in possession of any knowledge or documentation that leads towards the proof that Betty White is in fact not entirely human or more than human, if you could please drop me a line, I would appreciate it. I'm looking to get to the bottom of this thing.
Spread the word about the show, please. Let everyone you know about Annual Pass. Again, we love doing this, and we want to keep doing it forever. So, love you guys. That's going to do it for this week. Thank you very much. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and we'll see you soon. Bye.